If you feel like you're losing to bigger competitors just because they have a bigger budget, today is going to change how you think about that. Because you don't beat big competitors by spending like them, you beat them by being sharper than them. At Rook Digital, we help local service businesses get more calls and book jobs without wasting money trying to compete just on budget. A couple of quick housekeeping things before we jump into our web class today. It's going to run about an hour, and we save a little bit at the end for live Q&A. You can drop your questions in the chat anytime. Kevin is moderating. Feel free to tag him directly. Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to talk about competitors today, and Phil's going to hop on in a second and blow everyone's mind with things. But yeah, as Megan said, any questions you have, feel free to tag me, and we'll cover them at the end. Or if they're lining up with what Phil's talking about in the moment, we'll address them then.
Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. Um, After this webinar, we're going to send you a free workbook so that you can implement everything that we cover and go back over anything that you may have missed in your own notes. And we offer a free no BS audit if you want us to show you exactly where you can take share in your market. And with that, I'll turn it over to Phil Hudson, co-founder and CEO of Rook Digital, to walk you through the playbook for beating bigger competitors.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Kevin. We have a limited attendee here live with us on Zoom today, but we're broadcasting in other places, so we'll be checking those for questions. For the lucky people here on Zoom with us, we can make it a little bit more tailored to you. It's the benefit of showing up live on Zoom with us. But we're going to talk about that big question, which is how do I beat somebody with more money? My career, this is I think my 17th year doing digital marketing now, and in that time, I have predominantly helped small businesses compete in markets where there is a big, ugly competitor who is smashing everybody else. And the way you win is by moving around them. It's flanking them. It's not the direct approach, as we might say. So what we're going to do, as always, I'm going to share my whiteboard here in a second. We're going to dive in and we're going to review exactly how you can beat the big competitor. For those of you who are familiar with Malcolm Gladwell, he has a book, David and Goliath. It might just be called Goliath. But basically, in that book, he talks about how your weaknesses can become your strengths. We got Meg over here celebrating. He talks specifically about people with dyslexia and how most of the tech giants in the world had dyslexia, and that forced them to think differently about things. And that's why they were able to break through, because they did things different than the masses. And that's the key to success here, just to be very clear. The goal here is we're trying to beat Goliath. And Goliath here, right? We're gonna have a big sword. I haven't drawn a sword in a while. We'll pretend that's a big sword. And then this is you. You're the little guy over here, right? And you've got a sling. I don't know how to do a sling. We're gonna pretend that's a sling. And you're here, you're ready to fight. And right in the middle of this is your prize. We're gonna call that leads. That's phone calls. That's potential e-commerce sales. It's whatever it is. You have to beat David, or you have to beat Goliath. And you do that, we'll give Goliath a sweet beard because we like beards. Okay, you have to beat him. So how do we beat him? That's the real question. If he's got budget, you have to have precision. Okay, you're going to win by being better than them. You don't beat them by outspending them. You beat them by being sharper than them at what you do. So let me give you some context for this. My brother-in-law is a CTO at a late stage startup in Silicon Valley. He's worked in Silicon Valley for years. He knows a lot of the no names that you might know. And he was telling me that very often when he was stuck at a corporation, he would hire an outside creative agency that looked small because he knew there was less red tape. If your website looked too enterprise or too big, it often turned them off because they figured they'd have to go through request for proposal, they'd have to negotiate with 3 levels of leadership and a chain of command. And so he just preferred to work with small creative agencies. And that was some advice he gave to Rook Digital back in the day. And so with that, that's one of the big things I want you to consider here is that you do not have to look bigger than you are, that you can actually win by being a precision, small, elite group. We all know the story. David hit Goliath. Goliath fell. David wins. He becomes the king, right? This is his cool crown. We want to do the same thing for you. And you're going to do that by being more precise. Okay. So let's talk about this specifically. I am not very good at drawing gears. We're going to pretend that this is a cool gear. We got cogs, we got all this stuff over here, right? And then we know that these are kind of interconnected, right? Where the teeth of this gear kind of fit in here, and then they turn each other. This is a very bad gear. The good news is I'm not paid to draw, right? I'm paid to do digital marketing. But if you have these three gears and they're working together, you can do some pretty incredible things. And gears exist in your vehicles, they exist kind of all over, and they exist because they can turn small amounts of energy into major success or major forces of energy. So, right here, we're going to talk about the three gears you need in order to succeed. Number one is you need focus. Number two, you need proof. And number three, you need follow up. Okay. And if we can lock in on these three things, focus, proof, and follow up, you're going to win. Okay. So focus is what you do. Proof is validation that you're very good at it and trustworthy. And follow up is, I think, the most underrated principle in business. We're going to dive into that. So small companies win by turning these gears up higher than big competitors. And because you are lean and you are smaller, you can win big because you don't have the red tape. You can scale. It's what our friends at Echelon Front, the leadership organization, call violence of action. You can have very clear commander's intent and move without jumping through all the hurdles. If you have decentralized command, which is another principle they teach, you can move faster than your competitor because the front line can make decisions. And that's the beauty of being a one person, 4 person, 10 person team. So you don't have the bureaucracy of a bloated, uh, you know, uh, leadership tree, right? So keep that in mind. You can move faster than them, and that's how you're going to win. So let's talk about the approach here. The trap most people are going to fall into. And I've seen it and I have done it. So I'm preaching to the choir here, okay? I'm right here with you. There's two approaches to digital marketing. And back in 2013, in the search engine optimization world, things really changed. Prior to that, we could do what was called sniping, right? You could pick a keyword phrase and you could say, hey, I'm going to put that keyword phrase. If this is Google and you've got 10 spots in Google, and back in the day, ads were over here and they were over here, right? So these were your ads. You could say, hey, I want to rank number one. You could pick your keyword phrase and you could target that phrase. And we were very good at moving people up the page to be number one. And in 2013, that effectively broke, where sniping died. Okay. And then we had to move to what was called a shotgun approach, which is we're going to target a bunch of keyword phrases and we're going to rank where we can. And that existed from 2013 all the way until really now. We're back in this basically 2022. Shotgun approach is now dead again, and we can go back to sniping. Okay. So we can go in and we can say, hey, we want to rank for this keyword or this keyword, and we can do things. We can pull levers to move a client up the first page to rank for specific keyword phrases. The mistake most businesses are making is they are taking the shotgun approach, right? Not to SEO over here, but they're taking the shotgun approach to two specific areas: the services and the locations, what services they provide and where they provide them. And the shotgun approach is a tremendous amount of wasted energy because that energy is going out and scattering. But what we really need to do is we need to take the sniper approach, right? The sniper approach means I have a very specific target, and if I can hit that target, I can win. And winning on the back end is cash. It's revenue, it's leads, it's deals, it's donations, it's whatever you're striving for. Okay. So the sniping approach comes down to one thing: one location, one money service. Now, again, this is a service-oriented topic. This applies Not so much to e-commerce. So if you're an e-commerce entrepreneur watching this, there's a different approach here where the shotgun approach still makes a lot of sense. And then we can pull levers over here on the SEO side to rank you for money phrases or phrases that are going to be more transactional or commercial. But for a service business, the goal here right now, the way you're going to win is instead of doing everything everywhere like your big budget competitors are, we need to focus more on one thing that you're very good at and in one place. Okay. They're spreading, your big competitors spread their budget across everything, and you're going to win by concentrating. That's how you're going to win. Okay. So pick your one money service, a high margin, high demand service. Maybe it's water heaters if you're a plumber. Maybe it's HVAC. Maybe it's pest control if you're providing something. Maybe it's weed clean out in the spring if you're a landscaping company. Whatever it is that generates high profit for you and a lot of people are looking for, that's what you're going to pick. How do you know what they're looking for? You contact us, we do an audit, and we can tell you exactly what keywords people are looking for what you do. We can give you the exact numbers from Google. On average, every month, 3,600 people look for this, 10,000 people look for that, 50 people look for this phrase. That's what your competitors are targeting. But if you just add an S to the end of that word, there's actually 500 people looking for that. There's little details like that that we uncover in these audits. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Okay. So pick your money service. Next, you're going to pick your priority zone, right? So zone for most people in like a service business, you have what's called a service area. We talked about this on another web class a couple weeks ago, but your service area is not the entire state. I'm going to draw Utah because it's easy, right? It's not everything. It's a very concentrated area within that state that you can serve. And again, we've talked very heavily about the possum filter and the pigeon filter. You have to play within the realm that you have access. Okay. So pick your zone. And then the next step is you need to own the search real estate for that combination. Okay. Any thoughts, questions, comments?
Yeah, we got a question in the chat from Meg. If you look too big, it might feel like there are too many hoops. Can you win by being precise and elite? So when you're a business like us, which is a theater, who needs volume, but we are perceived as small, do we raise prices on our products? Do you see where she's going with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a great question. And I think, we can learn some lessons from e-commerce on this. And I think it applies here. It's a race to the bottom to compete on price. I think that when you're trying to be the lowest ticket item, that's an invitation for the riffraff to come. And I'm not knocking anybody from a socioeconomic perspective. What I'm knocking here is that it tends to invite the squeaky wheels. And everyone at Rook knows how I feel about the squeaky wheels. We don't like them. They complain and they get what they want and they've been rewarded for complaining. They have more problems. You have to support them or they have trouble. And my first experience in e-commerce, I had a little headphones website where I sold earbuds. And I remember this moment when I would sell these. The Chicago Press wrote an article about these headphones, and I was one of the few people who sold them online. And so I got all these orders for this specific headphone, and they were $14, and I made 50% profit on them. I was making $7 an order. I was selling like 20 a day. Super fun to do until I started getting the complaints over email and the troubleshooting and hey, this broke or hey, this and that. And then someone else wrote an article from the same brand for $100 pair of headphones that were competitors to like the what are they called? Apple bought them. They're really popular. Beats by Dre. They were a competitor. And I noticed those people never had problems. Those people never had concerns. And I also noticed it took the same amount of energy to get a sale for a $100 product as it did for a $14 product. And I made $50 per order instead of $7 per order. So the win-win on being a high ticket product or a higher level service is you deal with less people, right? That's the trade-off. You're going to close fewer deals, but the quality of the person tends to go up because I would rather throw away a $14 pair of headphones than fight for $14 through customer support. It's not worth my time. Now, for a theater, what is that? I think that it should be two things. One, the pricing signals the quality of the production. The pricing increases the quality of the production, right? Because you use that to fund the shows. There are a lot of benefits on the ticketing side for raising prices. You also have to understand what can your market tolerate. So being small and elite is not a bad thing, right? Being large and bloated and charging to nickel and dime people, that's a problem. Being small, charging a premium and not putting on a premium show, which I don't think is a problem you have from what I understand about you, that's going to turn people off and you're going to burn customers and you're going to ruin relationships. So there's a price tolerance in every market. I think you need to figure out what that is. I would say look at some people that you consider yourself to be similar to, see what they're charging, and kind of establish what the market can handle. And then you can always raise ticket prices incrementally, right? Where you can just move that till you get to a point. Meg, sounds like you have a question.
Yeah, I guess a follow-up to that would be, we know, we hear, maybe that's like the trust part of it, but our pricing is competitive with other theaters. I think that we have definitely raised prices just for the reason that you've said. That's our source for registrations. I know that sometimes it can be seen as a lot. When you break it out per class or per hour, it's very doable, I think, when families see it from that. So I guess from a messaging standpoint, and this might just be something in the conversion, like proving to people that we have an elite program and actually they're getting the value, right? Like what they're paying for, they are actually experiencing. And how do you get people to see that before they've experienced it? That's where we keep trying to prove that, I guess. And how do we do that without them actually just experiencing it firsthand?
Yeah.
That's tricky.
Yeah, a couple thoughts for you specifically, and we've done an audit for you, and we've done some other kind of work, and so I'm a bit more familiar with your situation. A few thoughts in yours. So number one, a lot of people mistake their website as their business, and your website is not your business. It is an advertisement for your business. Your business is when people walk into the door, right? So your website is just an advertisement, and its job is to sell something. And if you feel that the feedback you're getting from people or kind of the opinion or thoughts that people have about you, the way you're reflected in your market are negative or less than what you want them to be, that is what you need to prioritize on the front page of your website or the page that is getting the most traffic. If you're doing ads to sell tickets to an event, you send them there. If it's registrations for classes, that page needs to document and overcome objections. And I've talked about this before, but I don't think it's ever going to be repeated enough. If you can overcome an objection before someone has an objection, you win. So how do you do that? You state the objection on the page and you address it, or you state the answer to the objection on the page before they can even form the question. So, top of the page, we've talked about this a lot on these calls. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you good? How do I contact you? What do you want me to do next? Right away, implicit trust. If you can answer those questions, which is why we like putting them in the header on most desktop websites. Mobile's a different story, but you got to answer those questions. The next thing we want to do is we want to reiterate that they are getting what they looked for. So we need to keep them on the page. And so that's where fundamentals of SEO actually help you with the conversion process. If you can put the keywords they looked for in the H1 tag and repeat it a couple times in that first paragraph above the fold with an image that reflects what they looked for, those things are absolutely going to get them to stick and reaffirm this is what I'm looking for. Now it's a question of how do I get them to take action? And you should always have a call to action above the fold, which is what you can load on the page, make it big, make it bright. You've heard us talk about that. If someone does not buy then, that means by just the law of how things work, they have a concern. They have an objection. They are looking for an answer to something. And this is where most people really get design wrong, in my opinion, is they care so much about the pretty that they don't care about the result. And if you think about this through the context of would you rather be rich or right, You can let go of your ego and say, I'd rather be rich, right? Because that's why I'm in business, or that's why I run a nonprofit in your situation, right? Like it's a nonprofit school or nonprofit theater. And so, what's the objective? What's the mission? Is that more important than my ego? Well, then we start realizing that the text on the page will be read by the people who actually have a question, and your job is to answer that question. So, how do you do it? By posing the question, by selling benefits, not features. It's not the fact that you have a brand new stage, it's the fact that you have a brand new stage so that students understand what it's like to play on a major theater, or they have smaller group sizes as a feature so that they get more attention from the instructors. Feature, benefit. Okay, then down the page even further, my opinion, for both SEO and conversion, you need to have frequently asked questions. What are the top questions you get asked? And customer service, front desk people, box office people, they get these questions. Anyone answering the phone, ask them, what are the top 10 questions we get asked? You're going to find that probably 5 of those apply to every single page of your website. Doesn't matter if you're selling a ticket, doesn't matter if you're selling a registration for a teenager or for a 5 to 10-year-old or whatever it is. It's the same questions. Then you're going to find 2 to 3 kind of niche questions about that specific thing. Just put those on the page. So if you do an FAQ box, question answer, that's going to eliminate so much of that concern, and you're going to be more successful as you get through that. Okay. Um, any other thoughts on this? Seems like you're nodding your head, and I mean, it might be in the chat here, but do you want to ask another question here?
I think I'm just taking it all in. The audit that you provided for us was so helpful. And so just keep on attending these things so that we can move forward with what you've said. And I guess we need the words. We need the words that people are searching. I think that is where we're probably running into. We're guessing what words people are using, and that is probably not the helpful thing, right? Because we're thinking, oh, these parents want this. And so that's what we're kind of forming all of our information and communication and our advertising and marketing around. And maybe that's not what we need to focus on at all.
Okay, so on our next call that we do with you, let's dive into keywords and let's talk about what that is and how people are using them. I'm going to give you a piece of homework that's not in my lesson plan today, but anybody who watches this, if you do this, I promise it will transform things for you. Google Gemini is Google's AI tool, and you can go in there and you can choose a tool called Deep Research, and then you could change the model on the right-hand side next to the submit button to thinking. And if you do that, you can pose a question about your market, your demographic, and your target audience. And you can get it to do a tremendous amount of academic research to tell you exactly what you need to know about your audience, what they're looking for, price points, comparisons, both in your area, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, some of the larger theater cities. And that will help inform pricing decisions, what people are looking for, typical features that things need to have. And here's an example. My buddy's running a landscaping company, and I'm helping him with his marketing. And I did a bunch of research for the area we're in. And because we're in a tech area, it turns out that what most people offer and what the very successful people offer are very different. That is, tech entrepreneurs work primarily from home 3 to 4 days a week now post-COVID. And now their backyard it's something they have to look at. And so they want a more aesthetic backyard. They also don't want to talk to people. They want the ability to pay and book online, schedule a time when they're going to come, know that the person's going to be there because they're managing phone calls from home. And they're even interested in having robotic mowing done because it's less invasive than having a stranger in your backyard. Right? So there's a lot of this detail that I wouldn't have even considered because I'm comparing it against when I did landscape and lawn care in high school in the same market when I was in high school. So utilize Gemini Deep Research to just really get a bunch of answers about what are the concerns, what questions are people looking for. And a very good prompt to put in to this research is give me the known knowns and the unknown unknowns, or the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. And this is a principle in research where the known unknowns are, here are the things I know I don't know. I don't necessarily know what Chicago's offering. I don't know what features. I know I don't know what features I need to have on my website, etc. What are the things I, as a human being with my limited knowledge in my area, that I'm not even thinking about? And the unknown unknowns, when you prompt AI to do that, you're going to get a much better result to go find out exactly what you should be thinking about that you're not even considering right now. Okay. Then you can utilize that to inform the strategy of beating your bigger competitor who might have more budget, because I promise you, their overstaffed marketing team is not doing this. They've done a report, maybe, and you're going to have clear, cutting edge information that's gathered from Reddit and subreddits and posts and blogs, news. Your competitor's website is going to scrape all that data and present it in an academic cited document you can read and then use to inform other AI tools, which we can talk about another time. I don't know if that helps. Okay. Okay, great. Any other questions or thoughts from anybody else?
Nothing yet.
Okay, let me hop back in and we'll keep moving through. But this stuff is super applicable. And if you're not leveraging AI for your business in a smart way, there's a lot that we can do to help you. And this is just one example of that. We're utilizing it for ourselves. We're kind of challenging preconceptions that we have about how marketing works because we've done it that way. And it's been very helpful for us to kind of have a cutting edge grasp on digital marketing these days. All right, there we go. Whiteboard started. So, all right, we've identified number one, right? So we know exactly what our money service is and we know what our market is. We're not going to do scatter shooting with a shotgun anymore. We're going to focus very specifically on one city and one zone or location. And that should be a high margin, high demand service. Okay. So the next thing we need to think about, again, is proof. So we've got this concept we've talked about on these calls called the proof shield. My art teachers are going to kill me from elementary school, which was the last time I had an art class. All right. So number one, we want to have reviews. Number two, we want to have a photo. We want to have go to photos. Number three, we want to have a license or credentials or insurance. And number four, we want to have speed and availability. Okay. This is your proof shield. If you can have these things, you're going to win. Real photos. You're going to have licenses, insurance, or guarantee. And then time, speed, and availability. So if you can lock in your proof here, right, you're going to win. So customers don't call the best, they call the safest. So you want to be the safest. Best doesn't have anything to do with it at the end of the day. They want to know that they're going to hire someone who's going to do the job right. And if you can, you'll win. Okay. So again, you got your two listings here in Google Maps. Those are very different looking shapes, Kevin. I decided not to auto correct, but we're going to be okay with that. So this is your listing. And again, if you can check more boxes than they can, you win because you look the safest. So focus on new, fresh, positive reviews. Go look at our past web classes on that. Make sure you have real photos of you, the work you've done, your staff, your jobs. Make sure that people know that you are a legitimate, real business that will show up. Number three, if you have licensing or insurance, if you're bonded, make sure that's very prevalent and clear. Take photos of that. If you have a guarantee, have it listed prominently. Make sure that you document how fast your turnaround is. Make sure that you also have availability. I just saw a flicker on my iPad, Kevin. Did you see that?
I didn't see anything flicker.
Okay. I did on my side. So if that keeps up, just let me know if you see anything weird there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Moving on. Any questions there before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. So the next thing we need to do is we need to own real estate. Okay. So again, if this is Google, you're going to have a block up here. These are the ads. Then you're typically going to have the maps. Then you're going to have 1, 2, 3. You might have video cards or image cards in here. You might have 4, 5, etc. down the page. Okay. So what do we need to do? You don't need to be number one everywhere. You need to own enough real estate to get the call. How do you do that? Well, a traditional digital marketing campaign, something like we would do at Rook Digital, is we're going to run your Google ads. We're going to do your Google business profile optimization so you rank better in the maps. We're going to do your SEO organically so you rank here. If we do that properly, your images and videos may rank well. And then there's this other piece up here that we didn't talk about, which is called AI overviews. Or stemming off that is AI search mode. That's how you rank in Gemini. Now you've got ChatGPT, which is the same thing. So if I say Gemini or AIO, GEOAEO, this is all SEO plus. It's just the fundamentals of search engine optimization with a couple other steps you have to do. Rook's been doing this for a long time. It's not new to us. But a lot of people are selling these fancy words to scare you into things, and they're trying to bump their prices and all that. If we were a savvy business, we'd probably raise our prices to sell you AI, but it's not ethical to us. So we just charge you what we would normally charge you to do the job we've been doing for a while. But you need to win in as many of these places as possible so that you are relevant. So if you think about it from a user's perspective, there's an AI overview that answers it and they list you. They also see you in an ad. They see your map pin. They see you here. They see your image in a video. You're showing up more than anybody else just by pattern interrupt alone and pattern recognition, which humans are very good at. We're going to know, and we're most likely going to pick you because you look to be the most well-rounded established business. And that's effectively the goal with what we do in the digital marketing space. Okay. So again, you don't need to be number one everywhere. You need to own enough real estate that you get the call. You got to get filtered through the filter. Okay. So let's talk about the conversion wins big competitors ignore. Okay. Number one, big call now. Number two, so who's going to get the click? It's going to be the one who makes it very clear how to contact you, right? So having big call now buttons, having big phone numbers that are click to call, that's how you're going to win. And most agency designed websites are going to be like B. They're going to be aesthetic, not functional. And we care about functional. So again, rich or right. Pick one, choose one, lean into it. And we like rich. Okay. So again, in the world of Rook Digital, we would never do a web class without drawing a funnel. But if this is the funnel, right, you've got clicks and you've got calls. And if there is a leak anywhere in this, you're going to get fewer calls. So you have to patch those. You can convert better. If you convert better, you can spend less. So that's where having good conversion rate comes into play. So let me give you a good example of this. In Google Ads, this is kind of the secret magic behind Google Ads. This is what made Google stand out more than their competitors. Okay, so this is advertiser A, and this is advertiser B. This is advertiser C. This is the bid. This is the click-through rate, okay? If advertiser A is bidding in Google $1 and advertiser B is bidding 11 cents, who's going to show up first in a Google ad? Well, the presumption would be A. And the reality is that there's a signal, a quality signal to Google that matters more. It's called click-through rate. It's the percentage of people who click on your ad. And if advertiser A has a 1% click-through rate and advertiser B has a 10% click-through rate, advertiser A does one thing that is all that Google cares about, which is cash to Google. How much money does Google make per 100 clicks? If advertiser A has $1 at 1% click-through rate, Google's going to make $1. If advertiser B bids 11 cents, and they have a click-through rate of 10%, Google's going to make $1.10 for the same 100 searches. That guy becomes number one. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that very specific metrics can do more benefit for you in your advertising and your marketing than doing all of the things right. And so the way we're going to win is by beating your competitor on the conversion side. You may not get as many phone calls, but you can win by getting more. Excuse me, you may not get as many clicks, you may not get as much traffic, but you can win by dialing in your conversion. It's just simple. If you convert better, you can spend less and win. If advertiser B got wise and just raised this to a 2% conversion rate and cut their bid down to 56 cents, which is almost half, Google would then make $1.12. And now they would be number one and they would become number two because Google's making more money. So you can actually reduce the amount you spend on a lot of these mechanisms that we do in digital marketing by just being better at some of the specific linchpins or key levers you can pull to succeed. Okay. Any questions there, Kevin?
Nope, I don't see any.
Okay, awesome. Let's keep going here. Okay, so let's talk about the quick micro checklist of things you need to do. So number one, have a call button on mobile. Make it a click to call. Make sure it's clear that you provide fast quotes. Okay. Be very clear about what service you offer. Don't make people hunt for it. You'd be surprised how often that happens. Have a clearly defined service area. Apparently, I don't know how to spell service or zone, as we were referring to it earlier. And then next, have proof above the fold. So, Matt, going back to your question, proof above the fold, awards, successes, write-ups, featured in anything that has value to your customer base. That's the kind of stuff you want to have above the fold. And if you can do that, it's a strong signal for conversion improvement. Okay. So put a list of all the awards you've won, best of, best in state, best whatever, national celebration, any of that stuff you have, and it will absolutely increase conversions. Okay. Any questions there?
Nope.
Okay. So the next we're going to talk about is keys to success. Okay. And in business, I think there are two strong, important things you have to understand. If you can get these things right, you can succeed. One is follow through. You have to do what you say you're going to do. If you don't, you're going to burn bridges. People aren't going to want to be around you. So can you follow through on your commitments? If you can do that, you're going to win in business. Number two is follow up. Do you follow up with people? Do you ensure people did what they committed to doing? And on the sales side, do you call people back? Do you text them? Do you shoot them an email? Do you reach out? Are you proactive about it? Or do you sit on your thumbs and wait for somebody to contact you? So you have to follow up. You can control this piece. How do you follow up with people? Number one, we're going to talk about retargeting or remarketing. That can be done on Google and it can be done on Meta. Number 2, email. It's done through automations, or it's done through a newsletter or a broadcast. Something you're sending out to your list. And then number 3 is text or SMS marketing. Don't do it without permission. Be very clear there. You can get in a lot of trouble. But if you do, the open rates are exponentially higher on text. You will get a better result from text messages than anything. So if you have compliance and you're able to do that, make sure you do it. Let's talk about retargeting just for a second. So if we assume that this is your website and a user comes to your website and then they bounce off your site, later they're going to go to another website. That website might be Facebook, and it might be a blog or a news site or something that has Google AdSense on it, or Facebook or the Facebook Audience Network. But they're doing something. They've been to your website, and because they've been to your website, you can install this little thing called a pixel that catches their information. You can connect your data to Google using an API, conversion API, or there's another one for Google that I'm blanking on. But you can share that data. And now you have the ability to follow that person around by showing up in ads or video content around them. So staying top of mind. And if they leave leave Facebook, and then they go somewhere else where there's another site that's connected to one of these two, you can show up again by being in ads to remind them, hey, you signed up and we're interested in this thing. Okay. So that's all part of this process to ensure that we are staying top of mind for people who are coming to the website. Any questions about that?
Yeah. What about the ringless voicemail?
Ringless voicemail.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the ringless voicemail. I can probably interpret what that is. I'm assuming it's a service where people allow you to just call and leave a voicemail on someone's phone.
Yeah, we've been talking about this because of the potential to just hear from like our CEO, Megan, and her calling, primarily thinking about this for current families or like families who maybe haven't registered with us in a while, and keeping up that just more of a personal approach about maybe like something that's coming up or a celebration or something, but not wanting to inundate with an actual phone call or have people picking up. It's supposed to just go straight to their voicemail, and then you have that message that's recorded on there.
Yeah, I have 108 unchecked voicemails right now. Why? How many
Yeah,
of those are
because we
people
never listen to them. Yeah,
how many
I
of those are people
probably.
I actually want to talk to? They're scam. They're spam. They're all spam. Like,
Yeah.
I look at these and I read it, and so now I'm going to read my review, and if it's from somebody I know, I'm probably going to listen to that voicemail. So that might be a good reason to do that. Is there a better, more effective way to accomplish this? Yeah. I mean, is there any reason you can't just record a video, and then text that to everybody on your list? Right? Just record a video and say, hey, it's me. I'm thinking about you. We haven't seen you in a while. Just wanted to reach out, let you know we're still here. Here are some of the things we're doing. We'd love to have you here. That's going to do a lot more. And props to Gary Vaynerchuk on that one. That's some advice he gave that I just saw this week that really stood out to me. So that personal touch of a video, if you received a text message from a personal cell phone or a go-to or something else, and again, if you have permission to message these people, send them a video. The video will do much more and more likely to be open because it's MMS. It's the same. It's a text message, and it still feels more personal because now they can watch you, right? What if you were to upload your contact list to Meta as a list of people and then retarget to those people to say, hey, I want to show this ad or this video content or 5 pieces of content, articles about why we love our families, benefits we get from serving our community, and run ethical propaganda to your past customers who are less active and stay top of mind to them. And you can do that very cheap. We're talking a couple $100 to stay top of mind. Reactivation, I bet, would go through the roof. Give them a special offer with a QR code they can scan or click right to a page that acknowledges basically who they are and encourages them to come back. What if you had another video embedded on that page that just said, hey, thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to see you again. I wish I could be doing this in person. I'd love to have that conversation. Please come in. Let's talk about it. Schedule time here on my calendar. Talk to someone at our front desk. Whatever it is, you can build a very sophisticated sales funnel easily. So don't be scared by sophisticated, just by pulling a couple of these levers. And retention is always cheaper than prospecting. Okay.
Bill, do
Really
you have
good
any
question.
recommendations on, let's say people are going to send the video link for people to watch? How do you make that so that doesn't come across as it looks like a scam link? Because some of those times I get a text message from one, click this. If I don't recognize the name, number, and it's just a link with 55 different digits, I'm not going to click it. So what's a good way for people to customize it so it doesn't look like a scam?
What I'm recommending is you pull out your phone, you record a video, and then you manually send the phone to everybody in your contact list. So Gary Vaynerchuk talks about scaling the unscalable, and this is one of those things. So can you record a personal message that feels appropriate to everybody without getting specific, that gets across the sentiment you have for all of these people, and then send it to them and say, hey, Dave, we really missed seeing Kathy. We just did a great production. We would have loved to have her there. Here's a quick note, right? And so I'm saying literally send a video. Don't send a link to a video.
Makes sense.
Okay. There are also platforms that can do this, like Brevo, I think, which we integrate with a lot of clients, have the ability to do SMS and MMS marketing. Jocko Willing's company, Jocko and Origin, both of those do a really good job of sending multimedia messages. They'll send kind of carousel images of new product lines. They'll kind of push the stuff out. So it feels more engaging than just getting a spam text. It's just really cool graphics I want to click through, or a video I want to click and play, or a link to a YouTube. Because of Open Graph, which is the kind of metadata for social media, very often that'll load a thumbnail of the video. So it's also less scamming because you're kind of seeing, oh, this is a YouTube video from a number, someone I basically understand or close to. You're going to have better click-through rates on that. But very good question. Okay. All right, for sake of time, let's keep going. This is still spazzing on me here, so I'm gonna have to get a new cable, I think. But it looks like we're still working. Okay, so let's just kind of wrap it up. Let's talk about the 7-day calendar. Okay, what is our action plan? Wow, that's not at all what I wanted. If you come to these very often, we always put out a plan here. Let's make it super actionable. It's not about showing up, it's about getting something done. Okay, let's see if I can do a calendar here with 7 days. I don't know that I'm going to pull this off, Kevin. I'm not very good at slicing pizza. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Nailed it. Okay, we got it, guys. All right. So day one, you're going to pick the city and you're going to pick the service. Just define what are those two things. Why the city, what the service. Do some basic research. You can schedule an audit with us. We can help you understand kind of demographics and markets, psychographics, and things like that. So do that. Next, you're going to upgrade. You're going to focus on your Google business profile for that service. We're going to tweak it so that it reflects that service better. Better photos of it, or category, services, proof, photos, all of those things. Day 3, you're going to add photos. Okay. We're thinking 15 photos, if you can, that reflect that service. And then you're going to reach out and you're going to text 20 customers and ask for reviews. If you've gone through the review process before that we talked about in February and March, it's time to pick that up again. You can go reach out to people who didn't reply and ask them for another review. Send a video requesting review. Hey, Dave, hope you're doing well. Really loved working with you. I know we did a lot for you. I'm hoping you could do a quick review for us on Google. I'm going to put a link here. It'll take 30 seconds of your time. It will really help me out. That's it. Just drop a quick little video to them. You'll probably get a better result for doing that. All right, next we're going to upgrade one service page on your website. What is the main service? Let's fix that. Let's make sure that the headline is optimized properly. If you're doing SEO properly, we should already have this. Make sure you got a proof strip, right? Things that validate you, like people you serve, business, if you're in a B2B, who are people what are customers, could be features and news, all of those things. You're going to have your FAQ. You're going to have a very strong, clear CTA. Okay, so do all of those things. Next, you're going to fix your call path. And again, this is all in the workbook for anybody who's watching. Okay, click to call. Sounds like a bird sound. Click to call, click to call. You're going to hear us say that. It sound like a parrot. We're saying it so often. Make sure it's click to call and make sure it's clear that they can get a fast estimate. I just want to know how much it's going to cost me before you even come out. That's really what I know. I'm getting pricing because I want to know, one, do I trust you enough to call you? Two, if you do have enough trust, what's the cost? And then three, cost isn't always the deciding factor. At the end of the day, trust is a more important factor, and I pay a little bit more to know I'm not going to have you come back up to my house. Okay. Retargeting. Do some simple stuff. Make sure you got your pixel installed. Make sure you got your conversion API installed, right? Make sure your meta tags are all, excuse me, your Google Analytics is set up and connected to Search Console, and then set up some quick, simple ads. Do that kind of stuff. So what kind of ads? You want to have proof, right? Make sure that people understand that you're legitimate with photos or reviews. You want to have a clarity ad. Clarify your offer. What are you offering people? And then the last is your offer. This is really the push to take action. So that's a simple of enough thing that you can set that up pretty easy. And the last, we want to make sure that we're tracking calls. So data dictates. So you want to track calls and leads. Make sure you get all of that data and then repeat what moved the scoreboard. We've talked about the scoreboards before and how to do all that. Okay. So that's your 7-day plan. If you execute that this week, it's going to set you up for success in the future. Now, again, what are we doing here? All the way up here. It's David versus Goliath. You're not competing on budget. You're competing on precision. That's your precision action plan. If you have any questions about how to do that, we can help you with a no BS audit. Why no BS? Because we're not here to hype you up. We're here to just tell you very specifically what's going on. We're going to tear your site apart. We're going to look at your competitors. We're going to give you a very clear action plan of what you can do this week to win. We're going to tell you what your competitors are doing better than you. And at the end of that, most of our clients ask us how much it costs to do that. It's not a sales pitch. We're just here providing a bunch of information. If we can serve you, great. If we're a good fit, awesome. We'd love to help you out. If not, all we ask is for a review. And if you've had any value from this, find us and leave us a good review for any Rook Digital, not the South African guys who are still in our IP. We're dealing with that, but any Rook Digital. If you want an audit, just go to rookdigital.com/audit. We'll be happy to help you. And with that being said, that's what I've got until next week. Thank you all for your time. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to end.